Hi, Tony Asia here with you today, and we're going to do something that's pretty cool. We're going to try and break down this song to the point where we can see some very interesting components. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and teach you how to play the song because we've already taken a look at that with the tablature and the speed up and slow down function of the song, American Woman. So here we're just going to be able to take away, what can we take away from this song? And there's basically 2 or 3 points that are important points, and it's very interesting to me because every time I go through one of these songs, there's something that jumps out. Even though I may have played a particular riff or lead over and over, when you go ahead and you really dig into these things, you get to see some new points, some new things. So I'm excited to bring you these little insights. So for this song, what we'll do is take a look at the content of the song. So let's get started now. Now the song is written in the key of E, and we've all heard the song before, classic Guess Who song. Randy Bachman plays the lead, the opening lead to this song. And again, I'm not going to play it, but I just want to give you the first tip. And when playing leads, certainly you don't have to do this, but from a tonality standpoint, what your ear is comfortable hearing, it's a good idea sometimes to start the first note in the key that you're playing in. So if we're in the key of E, certainly we have E's all over the fretboard. But in this particular song, we are up here. Okay, so the song, when I take a solo, if I'm in the key of E, my brain automatically goes to E, you know? Finish the phrase on an E, finish or start the phrase on an E, and your ear feels good, it resolves. If you end on some other notes, they either create tension, which means, hey, there's probably something else coming, or maybe you want to just leave the listener sort of hanging up in the air, wanting more. So it sort of depends what you're doing at the time. But a safe bet is to start a lead, as Randy does here, you know, with the E note because it's in the key of E. Okay, which is the third string, 9th fret. Okay? And so now what happens from there, right? Well, he's playing some what I call box pattern notes. So if we're in E, I just took myself through boxes down to the low E. But the first beautiful part, the first part to take away from this opening lead is right here. And what notes do we have there? Well, we have that E start and a D, the E again, E flat, and then up to G sharp. And here's the part. Those are the notes, and look what we have here. Anybody recognize that? It's an E7 chord. These are the notes of an E7 chord. Or E7 here, E7 here. Now, what's so cool about this is in my course, Learn to Jam, I show you in that course different anchoring positions. And that brings up the point here. If we're playing an E chord, I like to go ahead and look at this as my anchor. So here's an E7, which is part of his so we end up here, and there's the other note, right? So we end up with an E7 because there's an E chord, basically, E bar chord. Look at that. Okay, this is just a shortcut version. So if I wanted to play an A7, what I would call, an open A7, what would that be? Like this, right? A, add your seventh, it's A dominant seventh. And where would B7 be? Just move it up to C7, because here's a C chord, C bar. Add that pinky, and you got yourself a C7. C7 in the open position. Okay, you hear that? So C7, D7, E7. So what's Randy doing? He's playing a lick that actually uses the notes at the very end to create a chord, an E7 chord. Okay? Now, it's one of those tension things. All right, and then the second part, the next part of the solo, he's way up here. He climbs into that last note. Okay? So what does he have? So he ends up playing this chord. Does that sound familiar? Does it look familiar? If I go down here and let's play a D chord, regular open D. Okay? And then if you want to play a D7, right? Now if you move this up 2 frets, because D7, right? E flat 7, E7. Up here. So that's an E7 chord. He's gone ahead and played his next lead pattern, and he ends up on an E7, but a different kind of E7. His first E7 was down here, right? And now he's up here, and it's a different position. It's the D7 position up here. Okay, so he's taken a particular chordal approach to playing his solo. You know, he opens up with notes, obviously, and then he throws in the... So that's, you know, that's really cool, because look where he ends. And he used that note, E7, and then next time he gives you another E7, but it's the different position, this type of E7. And now, the next part of the takeaway on this is something that I don't usually do, but as I was going over the lesson, I realized that this is something that we could all learn from, and it's a denser chord. It's more dense. And what do I mean by that? Let's go back to this E7, okay? Now, typically, if I'm playing, I'll either play an E7 like this, or I'll play an E7 like this, or E7 like that. And actually, sometimes I'll play, but kind of rare. But I actually think I'll use that a little bit more in my playing, that position of a seventh. And obviously, it has to sound right. You know, if you're playing open chords type of thing, you're not going to play that up here. You're going to go. So it does depend, obviously, on your circumstances. But if you wanted to get that kind of sound up in this region of the neck, there's an E7 as well. That's going to be something I might use a little more, maybe down here for a C7 instead of 4. So the important thing here is just to know those two new ways to go ahead and play a 7th chord. One is out of the D7 open structure, and the other one is out of the A chord, but just adding that. Okay, now the next part that I wanted to get to is we go back to the E7, but let's play it and leaving your index finger available, okay? Now, if we use this way, if we play it this way, and we put this here, now we have an E in the bass. And it's a fuller chord. And that's pretty cool. Because to play this is one thing, but adding that bass note, which is the tonic of the chord, makes a big difference. Now, for some of us, and me included, it's sometimes hard to be able to name the chord that you want to play. You may know where it is, but somebody said, well, what chord are you playing? And it's like, let's see, what notes do I have? And you kind of sort of have to back into it. Well, in playing this, let's just say this, for example, right here. With this note here, we're adding this note. So here was our D7, E flat 7, E7, okay? I'm going to F7, and I'm adding this bass note. Still an F7, right? How do I know it's an F7? Well, the way my mind works is, here is a note. Let's say I don't know what this is, but I do know that here is the octave of this, and I know that this is an F note. Now, some of you may know the name of the notes going all the way up this 6th string, or the 1st string, which is the same string, only, you know, octaves apart. But if you look at it in that way, well, I know then I'm playing an F7. Here's my anchor. Now I added this bass note. In this case, it's the 4th string, and it's the 3rd fret. And I know that these guys are octaves. Okay? So if I really quick play this and I had to know what chord it is, I'm going to look at this note, and if I can't think right away what it is, I just hearken back to this and I go, oh, okay, that's an F note. You know, that's a G note, that's an A note, that's a B note, a C, a D, an E flat. So one thing that I do find out is that, and my son is playing guitar now, in the beginning, it's easier to just go ahead and listen and learn things and not know the names of things. Well, if you want to communicate with somebody else and tell them what you're playing, you have to have a basic understanding and a basic language, you know, to be able to say, play an A chord, play a B chord, play a C chord, and or a D bar chord or whatever. So at a very fundamental, basic level, you should really go ahead and learn. If you're just starting, just learn the top string, the sixth string. Just learn all the notes on here, okay? And if you have a piano, you certainly can point out those white and black keys. You start on a C, or in this case, if you want to make it the same, start on an E, okay? And then just follow those notes going up. If you've never done that before, I'm quickly going to take you through it right now, okay? So that this lesson may make a little bit more sense to you when I showed you that chord right there and how I came with an F, okay? So this open string, E, that's an E note. If you just play the sixth string open, okay? Then it goes to the first fret, we're staying on the sixth string. So one step up, one half step up is called an F. And each one of these are called half steps. They're not called a whole step, okay? Even though you're moving up one, they're considered half steps. And again, if you looked at a piano, when you hit a white note, when you go to the next black note up, that's considered a half step. If you had gone to the white note next to it, it'd be considered a whole step, with two exceptions. And I'll show you that here. Okay, so open, E. Half step up, F. So what did you notice? The one from E to F. No E sharp, just E to F. And there's only a half step in between. Next, F sharp. Then to G, just doing the alphabet. Then the G sharp. Then the A. Then to A sharp. Then to B. Now there's no such thing as B sharp. So it goes straight from B to C. Okay, then C sharp, and D sharp, and we're back to E. We started off with an E. We got up to a E, an octave apart. Okay? So if you can learn those notes, then you'll have an anchor for what in most cases you could call your chord. So if I'm playing a G bar chord, okay, I know because this was the bottom note, the top note, it's a G chord. Okay, in this other case where we had the seventh, and I put this here, I don't know what note that is, but I know that back here, a box step away, is the way I look at it, they're octaves. Those are octaves. So that means the same note, only 8 steps away. No, 8 notes away, 8 full notes away. So that would be an F. So that's where I'm getting my anchor from. Okay? So I think, looking back then, the important things to take away from this song, American Woman, the first thing was the notes that were used cleverly in this song to create an E7 chord out of this position. And he ended his phrase with that. Okay? Number one. So you could take that and play 7 chords all the way up and down the neck. A7. Okay? So that would be an application for it. The second thing was the E7 out of a D7, open D7 position. Because he ended it. Okay? If we pull it down there and use those 3 fingers, and then add this here to the to the fret that's open on the 4th string, you have a very nice dense chord. And they're all 7th chords as well. 2 different kinds of 7th chords, okay? Which is cool because I'm going to start actually using this more. Okay? That's number 2. And the last thing I wanted to sort of give you to take away is to go ahead and figure out your anchor notes. Okay? And this is probably something, you know, we'll show you once or twice along depending on, you know, the lessons that you pick up on the website. But just remember, E is open, E. Okay, if you could learn the notes there, it's going to help you. And octaves are just a stretch across. Okay, it's down 2 strings and up 2 frets. They're the same notes. So it will help you to name your chords whenever you're trying to figure things out. Now what we'll do from time to time in these lessons is when I see little tips that may, you know, help you, help me along the way, something I might just see at that particular time, because in teaching you learn, you know, so I'm always learning something. So I think this lesson is really cool because you got something that you could actually take away and use in practice and use out in the field, use when you're jamming. Those 2 new ways to play those chords and how Randy weaves them into the end of his 2 lead phrases. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you come back for a lot more. We'll continue to study and learn together. Thanks a lot. I'm Tony Asia. Take care.